Hello. Okay, here are my notes. Hi, it's me again, CM Cabby. How's everybody doing? And hopefully, I know I ask this every time, but hopefully the background music isn't too loud and my mic is okay. Anyways, but I'm sure you will let me know. Anyways, I'm here for this creator-focused live stream to welcome Aaron, our Creator Programs Manager, and John, our MapleStory World software engineer, to our Creator live stream to talk about the newest version of Creator Circle. And John will also be here to answer Creator community questions about the MapleStory World's maker. And what else? Okay, so over on our MapleStory World team, we're really curious to know, like, as you, a creator, how do you find our content on, like, how to create your world, like tutorials and stuff like that. So I have pinned a survey to the chat. It is our MapleStory World's Finding Creator Content survey. It's really short. Please fill it out. This survey will help us help you with creating your worlds by creating more targeted videos, documentation, and GitHub packages. And so yeah, so please answer that. And let me check the chat. Okay, everything is fine in chat. I don't know why I don't know why CM is censored. Mike is good. Okay, cool. And we're gonna move on to the main part of our live stream. Welcome our Creator Programs Manager, Aaron, right now.
Hello everyone. My name's Aaron. I'm the Creator Program Manager for MapleStory Worlds, aka Susu Gaspar on Discord. So I'm here to talk about the updates to the Creator Circle program. So some of you may have seen our recent announcement in Discord about the updates to the Creator Circle program. For those of you that don't know, Creator Circle has actually been around for about a year now. So we've been around for a while. This program offers up to 12 months of a direct partnership between you, the creator, and us, the MapleStory Worlds team, to help you maintain live service of your game, continue making updates to your game, and grow your player base, grow your revenue with support from us. So what does that support look like? That is includes individualized business guidance. It includes technical guidance, priority technical support. It includes also promotional support and also financial incentives. So that's up to $3,500 per month in monthly development fund and up to $500 per month in bonus funds, bonus missions. The updates to the program allows creators to unlock increasing levels, increasing tiers of support from us as you grow your users, as you grow your revenue, and as your world grows overall. So we've gotten some questions from the creator community since making this announcement, and we're here to answer them.
Cool. I'm going to be the creator in this situation.
Okay.
And we'll be asking Aaron questions. So yeah, so there's this new version of Creator Circle, and now we have, or there's this older version of Creator Circle, and now we have a new version of Creator Circle. If I have two worlds, would I need to create or submit a separate application for both to the Creator Circle?
Yeah, so we encourage you all to make as many worlds as you'd like. We definitely encourage making more worlds. For the purpose of the Creator Circle program, we're tracking your growth with one world. So you're allowed to have as many as you want, but while you're in the program, we'll be tracking it with one world. When you apply to the program, you'll also be applying with one world.
Okay.
But if you want to switch let's say while you're in the program, you create a new project and you actually want to focus on that one, you can let us know, hey, you know what, I'd actually like to switch my support from this project to the other one, and we can discuss that.
Oh, nice. Okay. Good to know. So say I'm like a solo dev and I apply to Creator Circle and I get in, but now I want to bring somebody else to work on my project with me. Do I have to inform you of that?
Yes, please. So, we love it when people work in teams. We encourage teamwork. and we are also consider ourselves to be part of your team, and here to support you as well. But we do want to make sure that everyone in the team has access to the benefits in terms of the business guidance and technical guidance. And so we will need you to let us know if you bring on other members to your team. But keep in mind that for the purpose of the financial benefits, each team is considered one participant. And we will be giving the financial incentives will be delivered to the group leader. And it'll be up to the group leader to determine what happens next.
Nice. So you mentioned funding before. Will participating in the Creator Circle affect revenue share?
Yeah, so all creators on MapleStory World's platform have access to the 35% revenue share. So that means that 35% of your WorldCoin earnings is your share as a creator. In the Creator Circle program, it stays the same. There's no effect to revenue share by participating in the Creator Circle program. What that means is all of the earnings, WorldCoin earnings that you would get, whether you were outside of the program, you still get while you're in the program. And even if you receive financial benefits in the Creator Circle program, those are in addition to your WorldCoin earnings.
Oh, nice. You also mentioned tiers. So if I was in the lowest and the mid tier, is there still funding?
Yeah, so there's actually, so there's 3 tiers: Tier C, Tier B, and Tier A. Tier A participants get $3,500 in monthly bonus. In the monthly support fund. Tier B and Tier C participants have access to the $500 bonus missions. Up to $500 a month in bonus missions. So all tiers have access to the bonus missions.
Can you give an example actually of a bonus mission?
Sure. So most of the bonus missions are related to your world growing and improving. So how do we track that, right? There's lots of ways to track that. One way is, what is the player's opinion of your world? How do players, what is the player sentiment? So one of the bonus missions is achieving certain approval ratings of your world. So that's one way that you can track your growth as a creator, and you can track your player sentiment of your world. So yeah, that's an example of one of the bonus missions.
Cool. What else? Okay, so you said there are different tiers again. Everybody who gets into Creator Circle, are we all going to be funneled into Tier C?
Good question. So the tier level that you're admitted at is determined on a per world basis. So some creators might be admitted at a Tier A, some at Tier B, some at Tier C. It really depends on where your world is at in terms of how many players you have, revenue, overall the performance of your world, and we use that as a determination of which tier you are admitted at as a creator.
Gotcha. Okay, well, another question. So in the older version of Creator Circle, I unfortunately got rejected. Can I apply again to this newer version of Creator Circle?
Sure. So you can actually, there's no limit on how many times you need to apply, there's no limit on how many times you can apply. So if you've been rejected before, we encourage you to continue making updates to your world or make a different world, and you can actually then apply with the updated version of your world or with the new world that you've created since your application was rejected before.
Okay, nice. So say I get into the Creator Circle program and everything is going great, but unfortunately for whatever reason I have to drop out or pause production. What would happen then?
Yeah, I mean, the Creator Circle program lasts for up to 12 months. It's a really long time. Lots of things can happen in life outside of MapleStory World, right? So we're cognizant of that, and we, want to support you as a creator. So if there are issues or things that come up in that case, we can potentially make accommodations on a case-by-case basis. So we just encourage you, if you're in that situation, to let us know what's going on. And maybe there's a way that we can help you to stay in the program, but with some adjustments. That said, if you need to completely leave the program, and there's no way we can continue in the program and move forward, then you would have to wait 12 months before you can reapply. So if you leave the program for whatever reason completely, then you can reapply and get into the program again, but only after a 12-month cooldown period.
Gotcha. So I know that Creator Workshop has specific application windows. Does Creator Circle have an application window?
Good question. The application window is now. So get out there and apply for the Creator Circle program if you have a world that you've launched and updated. No, there is no closed application window. So we are accepting applications on a rolling basis.
Nice.
Feel free to apply at any time.
Cool. So we talked about bonus challenges. We talked about the different tiers and applying. Is there anything else you want to say about the program?
I think we can take a couple more
Okay.
questions from chat. I gave an example of the bonus challenges. How do you unlock the different tiers? Okay, good question. So the tiers are unlocked based on your performance of your world. So how do we determine that performance? That's based on how many players you're getting, how much revenue you're getting, how long do players stay over time, or to what extent do players lapse. So those are some of the things that we use to determine performance. And the whole point of each tier is to give you clear goals of how to get from one tier to the next. And so when you're admitted into the program, you'll be given that kind of roadmap. So if you're at, let's say tier C, we're going to give you the roadmap for how to get to tier B. If you are in tier B, we'll give you the roadmap to get to tier A. If you are admitted already at tier A, then we can work on just overall growth and improvement since you're already at the highest tier.
Cool. So when I apply, my world should be basically finished.
That's right. You have to apply with a world that you've already launched and a world that you've already made at least one update. And the purpose for this, the reason why is because the Creator Circle program is designed to support creators that are going to be maintaining their worlds over time. So we want to see that you are committed to updating your world.
Nice. We have some questions.
What if you're doing multiple worlds with different teams? So you are allowed to work on different teams. However, you can only be the group leader of one team. So, let's say, for example, that you are the group leader of, Microphone World, and, you've been accepted to the Creator Circle program, but you're also a contributing developer on, Keyboard World. And that world also gets accepted to the Creator Circle program.
Yeah.
You would only be, participating as a group leader in Microphone World, your world. You can't be the group leader of two worlds in the Creator Circle program at one time.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How many worlds will you be accepting, and how difficult is acceptance eligibility?
Ooh, okay. So in terms of how many worlds we're accepting, there isn't like a determined, a set number that we're, going to cap it out at. So I would say that, just feel free to apply, and we'll let you know if you've been accepted. Like I said, we're not going to say that there's, we're only accepting these many. In terms of the eligibility requirements, it's pretty simple. I guess, again, we just want to see a few things. One, you need to pass our gameplay evaluation. Two, you need to show commitment to updates. So that means, and sorry, before I say commitment to updates, it needs to be a launched world. So let's say that you are applying, but your world hasn't been launched yet. We wouldn't be able to accept projects just based on the game design document. We would need to see the world itself.
Makes sense.
So yeah. Maybe we can take maybe one more.
Okay, let me look at them
for time. I'm in Creator Circle. Can I apply now? So I would, if you are in, I'm in Creators Workshop. If you're in Creators Workshop, you would need to apply with a world that you've already launched and updated. So, if you're in the Creators Workshop, those worlds haven't launched yet. So that world would not be eligible. If you already have a world that has launched and you've updated it, then that world will be eligible for the Creator Circle program, but not a world that's in progress.
Cool.
Sorry, I'll just take this last one.
Yeah.
Is there consideration for a part-time or lower tier if I have a couple of hours a day but not full-time availability? Good question. So I guess the amount of time you dedicate to your project, it really depends on you. It's based on how much time you need to be able to make the updates that you want to make based on your live service plan and meet those world performance goals that you have. So we don't have strict requirements in terms of how much time you're putting into your world. It's really about, making sure that the plans that you set for your own live service over time, your updates to your world, that you actually have the ability to make those updates.
Cool. That is all the time we have for you, Aaron.
All
is
right.
there anything else that you want to say?
If you have any more questions, and please keep them coming. If you have more questions, reach out to us on the Creator Programs Q&A channel in Discord. You can also reach out to us at na_MSWcreators@nexon.com. Or you can also reach out to me. I'm Susu Gaspar on Discord. Would love to clear up any other doubts or questions that you have about the program or about any of our programs. And if you have launched your world and you've updated it, you're ready to join the fold, please go ahead and apply to Creator Circle.
Nice. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for answering all those questions and our audience questions. We are now going to throw it on over to John, our MapleStory World software engineer, who will be here to answer your creator questions that were pre-submitted about creating worlds and creator worlds. So I'm going to switch to John right now.
Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. So as I mentioned, we will be hosting a creator Q&A today. And we've collected a couple questions from the creator community, and we're going to try to answer some of those today. Hopefully, the answers that you get here will be helpful for your own development in your worlds. And we, unfortunately, we're not able to answer all the questions that were submitted, but hopefully this will still be helpful for those of you that are developing. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first question is, how do I use the MapleStory World Shop package? So I think there's a common question going around there's a lot of people that are starting to take advantage of the packages that we offered, which is amazing. But some of these packages may be a little bit dense in material, and it may be a little bit hard to understand at first. To fully take advantage of all of the features. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go into the MapleStory World Shop package. And there's one more package that I do want to highlight in reference to another question that was submitted. But the packages will all be visible here on our MapleStory World's GitHub page. If you search GitHub inside of our creator guides, you should be able to find the link here. So if you're curious about where to find it, please do search GitHub in our creator documentation. and then you'll be able to see all of the different packages that are available to you. We're constantly updating this GitHub repository with more packages to help kind of speed your development process on a little bit. So please do find the package contents here. Okay, with that said, let's drop into the demo first to take a look at what this World Shop package has to offer. So okay, so first let's take a look at the World Shop package. And if we open up and we've imported the package, we can click import package, search for the package, and then make sure you import it here. Once you do have it imported, you can double click on the README file, which will have a lot of information about the package. It'll have some data structures and recommendations and some samples, scripts that you should take a look at. The most important part would be this part here, the requirements section, to make sure that this package is fully functional. So first, we have to attach the player workshop component to the default player entity. So we're going to go right in here. And I've already attached all of these, so it will already be visible here. So if I just search for World Shop, you'll see that here. We also have the product information must be registered in the World Shop dataset. What that means is inside of here, we have a World Shop dataset, which contains information about our various products. You can see I've already entered some of the product IDs here, as well as our world ID. We'll go into that in just a minute. But that's really it for this package. For this package to be functional, there may be more instructions, and each package will be slightly different. So please do pay attention to the README file first, and take a look at the installation or requirement sections prior to utilizing the package. Okay, so down at the bottom, we can see that we have some test cases that we can utilize here. So we have press K to open the sample World Shop UI, and press L to open the sample admin UI. Both of those are right in here, World Shop sample logic. We can see the handle key down, where we have keyboard key to open the World Shop, and then we have keyboard L to open up the admin tool. So if we open up these windows here, so we have key, and these are the items that were registered into our World Shop, and then inside of the data set that we saw. We'll go into exactly what each data set does and how to fill that data set out. But we can see here we have the title, we have the active dates of when this package will be, or when this when this item will be active and when it will be when it will expire. We can define limits for our package so that when we purchase it, it slowly goes up until we hit a maximum, and then we can no longer purchase anymore. We have different sections. We have items and we have dias, which is just like currency. So there's different sections for you to place your items. So if you have more categories, you can split them out into the categories, and the categories will be also defined in the dataset as well. We have our passes, which is our one-time purchase passes, and then they will be active and available to use on the creator. So you can check for the passes to make sure that they exist. So that's the World Shop. We also have an admin tool where we can take a look at the items that any particular user has purchased. So if we grab our user ID, so the user ID can be found through here. We can copy entity path. It's just the name of this this player entity. But once we have the player ID, we can enter that into this field here, and then we can get the list of the items that have already been purchased by this user. So we have 7 of these of this particular ID. And then if we were to change the number of purchased items, so I can change it to, let's say, 15. And then I press edit to make sure. Okay. And then if we go back into our shop, we can see that we have updated values for our of the item. So we have an admin tool that we can kind of manage the player inventory after they've purchased it, so that if there's some sort of issue and let's say one of your players are complaining about failed purchases, you can kind of manually go in and add the products for that user. Okay, so that is the World Shop package. Let's go into a little bit more detail about what's going on behind the scenes. So we have our World Shop data set. So if we go back into Maker, we can see right in here we have the World Shop data set that we saw with our product information. We have the category, the name, description, etc., etc. So the first column is the product ID. So the column name has to be the world ID of your world, and the product, the first column has to be the world ID, and then subsequent columns will just be your product ID. These products will be grabbed from when you register your product. So after you register your product, you can copy the item ID, and that will be what you will enter into this product ID field right here. As for the world ID, if you open up the item list, you can see the world ID field in the URL. You can just copy that URL. You can just copy this world ID, and you can paste that right into the world ID column right here. The second column is currently not used in this demo, but it can possibly be used to share the same data set across different projects. You can add additional columns, add additional world IDs, so that you can reuse this data set across different projects if you'd like. At the moment, the sub world ID is not in use in this project, but the next section, the category, is to choose which tab to display the item in. So it is either 0, 1, or 2 for item, dia, and pass. The name is the displayed name in the shop. Description is a description in the shop. The icon RUID is the icon for the item in the shop. The price is the displayed price of the product. So this is not retrieved directly from the product registration. So this does have to be manually entered in, and it should, of course, ideally match the price of the registered product. The reward function will go into detail in this in just a bit, but this is the function that is called upon successful completion or successful delivery of the purchase. And the purchase limit is how many maximum a player can purchase, and then they will no longer be able to purchase it anymore. The reward arguments are the parameters for this purchase function. So if you want to award item 1, 3 of item 1s and then 2 of item 2s, or increase the strength by 3, whatever you want to do, you can add the reward arguments in here, and then that will be readable from the reward function that you define here. And we'll get into that in just a moment. Finally, we have the start and end dates. This will be the active dates for this product. So as long as you're active in this range, then it will show up in the store. So this could lead to things where if you have, products that only appear during certain seasons, you have some seasonal products, or you have some sort of event that you'd like to do, you can set specific dates, and then you can kind of set that, and then it will automatically kind of activate during the proper season. So we have the start and end dates, so we can define the active dates for this product. Okay, so we went into this. We'll just skip through this. Okay, so in the back end, or I guess in the code, the first thing we are grabbing is the World Shop data set. So this is the same data set that we just went through we're gonna go through each of the rows, and then we're gonna we're gonna create a new world shop data, and then we're gonna load in that row and pass in the row information to the to the world shop data. And then we're going to go in and we're going to load in each column, the data for each column. So we have the first column here, we are getting the environment world ID. So as we saw, we do depend on the world ID for the product. So if you don't have this defined, it will not be able to properly retrieve your product. So please do make sure that you do have your world ID defined in that first column. We also go through, we got the name, the description, icon RID, price, all of that stuff, all of the data we need. And then we assign them to the respective properties so that we have that available. And then we will kind of cache that data into the data by category. Okay, so once we loaded in the data from our data table, we can hook up our button. So we have a button purchase, and we're connecting the button click event to this purchase function. So at the bottom, we can see world shop prompt purchase, and we're passing in the product ID that we like to purchase. So the product ID will be tied to the item itself. So this is a property that's contained within this item component. So we're passing in our product ID into the prompt purchase. But once we do purchase, we have to make sure that we properly set up a callback. So upon prompting the purchase, it will go through and it will do the purchase API. And then once it's done, it will call back based on whatever is assigned here. So we have self process purchase, and then we are passing in this method here. So our process purchase, we're passing into the process purchase callback. And that will tell our world shop service to call this function after the successful purchase. Okay, so inside of this process purchase, we are going to do some validation to make sure that the user ID entity does exist, because we are going to use that down here when we call our purchase function. So we're validating to make sure that exists. We're also going to validate the product to make sure the product exists. So we have a world shop product status where if the product is not live, or if the product is still being registered, or whatever other statuses, it will not be able to successfully deliver the product. So we're going to validate to make sure that the product is active and it's live before we move on. Then we're going to grab the product data from our world shop dataset logic. So this is from the dataset that we just loaded in. We're going to pass in the product ID to grab the world shop data. And then this is kind of the interesting part where we have our reward function. So we saw the reward function is a string, but we are grabbing the product purchase function as kind of a table syntax by passing in the reward function as a key. So this will retrieve from the self this particular method so that it can be called. So we can see here, this product purchase function is being passed directly into this pcall product purchase function. And then we're going to execute that function. And then we can also get the result from this method call. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the reward function here. We saw that this is a string, and we can see we have process item purchase, and then we have process pass purchase. So as we saw previously, we are calling we are kind of using this reward function string as a key to retrieve the function that exists down here. So we have process item purchase and we have process pass purchase, both of which exist right here. So using that self and passing in this as a key we're able to retrieve these two functions. Okay, so that is the world shop method. Let me double check here to make sure I have not missed anything from chat here. Cool. Doesn't look like there are any questions. Forgive me if I missed any. I'll do a better job of keeping my eye on chat here. But let's move on for the sake of time into the next question. How can I add a ranking board that saves data over time? So again, this is luckily we have a package for that, and that is the we have the ranking basic and the ranking advanced package. We're gonna go over the ranking basic package today, go into the details of the code, and figure out how this ranking package works. So again, first let's go into a quick demo to take a look at this package in action. Okay, so I already have this imported. And we're going to take a look at the README. So we're going to first take a look at the installation steps down here. We can see there's a little bit more to do here than the world shop. So the first thing we have to do is we have to set the player entity authority check in world config. So that's in here. We have this world config, and we have to make sure that this is checked. Essentially what this will do is it'll prevent any other client from calling player component methods unless you are your own entity. So unless you own the component, it will not. Other clients won't be able to call methods from each other. So this will just kind of add a little bit of layer of security to make sure that the request is being made from the proper entities. So this package does operate under the assumption that this is checked. So please do make sure that this is checked for this package to work properly. Then we have the admin permissions check for tool users. This is actually available in the world shop as well, but this is for the GM tool. So we also have a GM tool for the world shop that we saw where we were able to edit the items that the player owns. That can be modified through the admin logic. So let's go into, I believe it's utils admin logic in here, and in here it's just always returns true at a base. But when you implement or use any of these functions, and a lot of the tools and packages that we offer do have admin GM tool. So this is very, very important so that players aren't just opening up your world and adding a ton of like things and items to their inventory and whatnot. So please do a quick check for your user ID or authorized user ID to make sure that whoever is trying to open and access those GM tools is an authorized user. So make sure to fill this part out. Okay, so that's very important. The number 2 admin permissions check. Next is the UiPath configuration. This isn't really required. This is just letting us know that our UiPath for the ranking sample UI logic is going to be by default spawned under UI default group. If you'd like to change that, then you can change the path here for the tool and then the HUD and the UI, or sorry, the UI path for these. So if you want to update the location that these are spawned in by default, you can change that in this script here. Next is a data storage name configuration. This is also an optional one, but if you look at the ranking data storage logic, we have our ranking name. We can also see in the init the key for the ranking. We'll go into the key that's built when we go into the code in more detail. But just be aware that we have a certain name for the data when we retrieve it. we are using sortable data storage, which is why we have the data storage name prefix and the key. So please do be aware of that. On the off chance that you also are using the exact same name, there could be some conflicts. So please do make sure that you're avoiding any conflicts by modifying this name if you do have similar setup in your project. Okay, number 5, we have the ranking config settings. We have in the init and wait function of the data storage logic, we can modify the ranking config data, which we're going to go into in more detail in our presentation in just a bit. But this is talking about the init and wait method here, and we have our config data. And each of these values will kind of modify the behavior of our leaderboard a little bit. So we're going to go through these, understand what they do and how they work, so that we know what to change if we want to change it. Okay, and then finally, we can use the UI HUD model to conduct ranking registration tests. So this is just talking about down here, where is our sample? Here, so we have our F4 key, or sorry, it's the F2 key to open the HUD UI, so we can register the ranking. So we will press play. And if we press, I believe F3, we can see our leaderboard. Let me maximize this so you can see this. We have our leaderboard, we have our profile key as well as our username here. And then we can see the cycle index here. This is based on the config information here that we saw inside of our ranking data storage logic. We'll get into what the cycle index means in just a moment, but we can register our user, and then if I press F2, I can register a score. It has to be higher than the score that's already registered, so I'm going to click register. It's going to take a little bit of time to update. It is on a timer, so we're going to wait a little bit here. Did I register? I believe I did. There's an error. Nope. Stop playing again. Okay, there we go. So it does have to be higher than the score that's already registered. Otherwise, it won't register this score into the leaderboard, and we'll get into the logic for that prevention when we get into the code here. The last thing we have is another GM tool. We have the ability to view a particular cycle index. So if we query that, we can see the registered users. Yes, thank you, Bryant. The forced update probably would have just forced the leaderboard to update. So probably could have just clicked that. Yeah, so if you do spawn a virtual player, it will have a different ID. It will have a different nickname as well, and a different profile code. So it'll all be different. It'll just add a little number at the end. It'll append the number at the end, depending on the current user. So we can see my first user has 15 and my other user has 20. And then if I check for this cycle index, and then my profile code, LLGS, I think it's a capital H. Nope. There we go. Okay. Then we can modify our score to, let's say, 45. Save that. And then we check. We can see that we have our score that was updated to 45. We check our apologize. I don't know why it's not updating. It was working earlier, but just gonna stop play and let it update. Oops, sorry, am I? My apologies. I think we're gonna move on. I don't think we have time to debug this at the moment, but all this to say that we have our GM tool that you can modify the ranking. You can register ranking using F2 to add a score, and then you can use F3 to view the scores. And then you can view the cycle, or I guess, sorry, you can view the leaderboard by checking the ranking list here. Okay, so with that, let's get into the code to see how this is all working. Oh, did I update 42 accidentally? Let's check. What was my cycle? Oh, it was 43. It was 42 when I was testing, so my brain is just 42 right now. So let's check 43. Three. Score that. Okay, there's my score. Thank you. And then the SH. And then query that we have 20 and edit it, and then let's change that to 40. Save it. Query again just to make sure that it has updated. It looks like it is updating, and then we'll go into here. We're going to force the update, and then we can see everything works. So my apologies for that. Thank you, Livestream, for catching that. So the question is, how do you convert this to be a leaderboard per level? Would it be a separate leaderboard entry? Leaderboard per level. Do you mean like a player level? Or... Oh, I think you're probably talking about game levels. So we're going to get into the code here, and then we'll go into that again after we get into the code. So maybe that'll give some context for this question. But just so that we are saving enough time to get into how all of the code is working here. The leaderboard is based off of our sortable data storage. And we're going to pass in the prefix, the key, and then the cycle index. So the cycle index we're going to get into in just a bit. But this is concatenated together to form our final key for our data storage, and we're going to retrieve the sortable data storage here. And then in our init and wait that we saw earlier, we have all of our config data. So this will modify the behavior of our leaderboard and change how this is all working. So if you wanted to modify the system to accommodate different types of data, it would likely be right here as you change the key. And then there's a couple of systems in here that you might also want to change as well to update based on this config data. So let's go through this config data so we understand how this is all working. So with the first property, we're going to take a look at, sorry, before we do that, so we have our config data up at top, and then we're going to check for the client and return true for the initialization status of the client. Notice that on begin play, it does not have an execution space. That means that on begin play will be executed both for the client and the server which is why we're doing a client-side check here. And then we're not going to execute the code down here because we want this code to only execute on the server side. So that's why we have this is client check, and we're just going to set the client side isn't it Boolean property to true. And then after that, we're going to get into updating our data table and then setting a timer to regularly refresh the data table over refresh interval seconds. And then we're also going to refresh the player cache. So we also have a player cache that we'll get into a little bit, and we're going to refresh and clear out that player cache every interval seconds that we have here. Okay, so the first property is just the key for the ranking. This is again concatenated with the sortable data storage key. And then we also have our cycle enumerator. So this is going to modify, I guess, how often, or I guess the size at which the leaderboard is determined off of. So is this a weekly leaderboard? Is this daily leaderboard? Is this a yearly leaderboard? That will all change depending on the value that we set here. And then we can set a base time that we start counting from. So if you check here in the get cycle index, this is called from when we set up our data, and we're gonna get into that when we get into the data setup. But in our get cycle index, we can see that we have our release base time here and then our cycle enumerator from our config. And depending on what the cycle enumerator is, we're grabbing we're going to return a different cycle index. So is it day 1, day 2, day 3, and it'll change depending on the elapsed day. So we have our release base time, and then we have a current elapsed, and then that will be able to give us a rough, or give us the number of the current cycle index in the current day. For the week, we're going to count based on weekly. So the current, we're going to divide or multiply elapsed day by 7 and divide that by the difference of the release base time and the current elapsed, and so on. We have slightly modified logic depending on whether we're counting based on the month, the week, the year, or the day. Okay, this view count will determine how much data we're pulling from our data storage at once. So this is the maximum amount of data that we are going to hold in our leaderboard. This is different from the amounts that will be displayed in our UI. This is the maximum number of data that we're going to pull from our data storage. Then we have our refresh interval seconds. This is going to be how often we are going to refresh our data. And then I mentioned that we have a cache that we're refreshing. So we have a player cache that we're going to clear every interval seconds that we pass in. So every time we get our ranking data, we're going to cache that information. So here we're checking if there is a cache that already exists. If it doesn't, then we're going to retrieve the ranking, get my ranking data by the profile code and the cycle index. I'm going to retrieve that player data. And then we're going to, at the bottom, update the cache. For the get my ranking data and wait, we are going to grab our sortable data storage based on the cycle index. And then we're going to grab the profile code. So this batch get isn't super necessary because we're just passing a single key. So this would be just the same as just getting a single key, but here we're just going to use a batch to grab the profile code, and we're going to assign the player data based on the data that was returned. We're just going to get 1. We only need 1 because we're just passing in a single profile code. We're going to assign that, and then we're going to also cache the ranking data, we're also going to get the ranking data information when we initialize our data set, we have also cached the ranking data by profile code. So this already exists. We're going to get into this in a little bit. But we're going to grab the rank, assign that to our player data, and then we're going to return that final data. Okay, so we also have a ranking mode enumerator. So this will allow us to change the way that our data is displayed for ties. So if it's just based on index, then for any players that have a tie, it will just outright display the index. For rank, it will display, it will assign the same rank for ties, and then it'll skip the next number. For dense rank, it will assign the ties as the same rank, and then it will continue on from the next number. So slightly different ways to number and order them. But this data, when it's returned, is already sorted. So we're just going to loop through and assign a ranking number and then check for ties. So that's all this, the functions down here are doing is just, we're just assigning a rank index. Okay, so in our update data table, we have our get time elapsed. We have, so this is where we're actually updating our data table, and this is going to be periodically updated based on our update interval. But first, we're going to get the cycle index that we saw previously based on the current elapsed time. So that will pop out a cycle index for us. And then we have our sortable data storage that we pass into, we're going to grab the sortable data storage based on this cycle index, and then we're going to sort that, that data using our get sorted and wait. If that is successful, then we're going to continue on. Otherwise, we're going to return and log out the error code. This is the same function here, but after we retrieve that data, we're going to loop through each of the pages, and we're going to assign the player data and cache that into a data list. And then as long as our view count is less, our current list count is less than our view count, then we're going to continue to move to the next page. But if we've maxed out the number of data entries to parse through, we're going to return and stop going through our data, so we don't go through the entire data table, and we're just going through 100. Okay, next we're going to calculate the ranks based on the rank mode enum that we saw earlier. Just assigning rank index numbers to each of those players. And then we're going to assign we're going to cache the cycle index. We're also going to cache the ranking data list. And then finally, we're also going to cache the ranking data based on the profile code. So we're going to have an indexable data set by the profile code, so we can easily index data based on the profile code. Okay, so that was updating our data table based on the data storage that already existed. To register a new score, we're going to use our set score and wait method. And we're again grabbing the data storage, sortable data storage based on the cycle index. We're going to do a little bit of validation for the max tag length. So if the tag, which would be the user ID, if that is more than the maximum tag length, then we're going to return. And then we're going to check if we already have, so this is the check that we're going to do to make sure that the score is higher than the current score. So if the current score, if the score that we're trying to assign is less than the current score, then we're just going to keep the current score and not do any of this at the bottom. But if it is, then we're going to set the data storage key info to the new entry here. Okay, finally, for displaying our data table, we're going to make a request to our ranking view logic. So this is a server-side call from the client, and we're passing in the page number and the page size. So based on the page size, so this is just when we open it, we're going to initialize to the very first page, but we're going to pass in the first page and then the page size that we want to show. That will call a server side to grab all of the data. So we're going to do a little bit of validation here for the user and then check if the data storage exists. And then we're going to grab the config data. And then we're going to grab the cycle index and then assign the profile code. We're going to grab the config data, and then we're also going to get the cycle index. We're going to get the profile code, and then we're also going to grab the ranking data based on that profile code and the cycle index. And then finally, we're going to grab all of the data entries based on the page number and then the page size. And we're going to retrieve the full list of data entries, and we're going to send that back to the client. So this respond data list with sender data, this is a client-side method. And we're going to notify the client side to update our UI. So we're going to grab the UI and check if it exists. If it does, then we're going to update the ranking and my data. And then finally, we're going to do validation to make sure that the page size matches the current page size of our data to make sure we're showing the proper page. And then we're going to loop through our cycle index. We're going to set the cycle index UI. We're going to set the page number UI. We're going to initialize our grid to show more content based on the number of entries in our data list. Finally, we're going to set the individual data based on the my data entry here. So that was a lot of information. Sorry I went through that a little bit quickly because we have one more question here. I apologize. We're going to move through this next question really quick because we have, this was kind of important that I do want to address. So this will be the last question for today. I apologize for rushing a little bit here. But we had a question come in regards to laggy servers. So the question was, my games are laggy and are there server optimizations planned? So the short answer to this is no, primarily because our backend infrastructure, while we can relatively easily upgrade our backend, doing so doesn't have a significant impact because our backend upgrades would be more based on the CPU cores and not so much on the CPU clock speed. And our MapleStory World's Lua code and our API is operating on a single-threaded environment, so it would not be able to properly take advantage of those cores. So unfortunately, at the moment, increasing our backend infrastructure wouldn't really make a big impact to the performance of your servers. That being said, we are releasing, or we are trying to release more and more optimized versions of our API to make server-side optimization a little bit easier. So we have things like the fast vector, for example, which is a more optimized version of the vector class, and things like that will allow you to optimize your server side a little better. So we will be constantly updating the API to provide you with more tools. We'll also be updating with development tools that will help with server-side profiling, make that side a little bit easier. So we're going to constantly try to improve that so that measuring performance and things like that are a little bit easier. But beyond that, we do recommend more server-side optimization on the creator side. Something that we are recommending is to minimize the number of entities that you spawn, at least on the server side. So if you can keep entities client side, try to do that as much as possible and minimize the number of entities that you're spawning on the server side, and keep rendering tasks and things like that on the on the client side, things like effects and whatever you might be spawning on the server side, try to keep that more client side oriented so that you're spending less CPU time and rendering time for the server side operation. So I apologize that I'm not able to give a more in-depth answer than that, but at the moment that is currently the status. Okay, that is it for today. Sorry, last question I'm going to take. Is it a money issue to increase the speed capacity for these servers, or mainly just an optimization issue on the creator side to make it better? At the moment, as I mentioned, expanding our backend wouldn't really help you. Well, it wouldn't really make a significant difference in the server side performance. Again, more so because we would be more expanding the CPU cores on our servers more than it would be increasing the server clock speed. So with that being said, we do recommend heavy optimization on the creator side to try to improve your performance, try to minimize the number of entities that you're spawning on the server side, minimize the the rendering tasks that you're doing on the server side, and keep a close eye on your server performance. And beyond that, again, we are going to constantly try to release as much tools as we can to help that process a little bit easier. So hopefully that answers this question. And with that, I will pass the mic back to CM Cabby to close out today's session.
Hello, thank you, John. If you liked us answering your creator questions like this instead of one single subject, let us know through the survey that should be linked, but I am going to link it again right here and right now. But yeah, thank you. And now some housekeeping. Our next live stream will be on Wednesday, October 29 at 11 a.m. PT. So next week, just a little bit earlier than now. And yeah, for that live stream, myself, our Mabinogi community managers, and some other Nexies will be getting back into Chrono Story as a 6-person party so we can really farm that EXP. And yeah, that is next week's live stream. And again, I have dropped the link to the forum. Please fill it out. We'd like to know how you find tutorial content. This will help you create more content, whether that's videos, documentation, GitHub packages, etc. And I think that is it for the MapleStory World's creator focused live stream. Thank you for joining me. Bye, friends.